much. So we're going to kick it off, Evangeline Dunn, in just a few minutes. And the kids, you guys can start getting lined up, and we'll take you guys to multiple places. And ladies and gentlemen, George Moss. No, oh, sorry. Oh, man, it was going to be really nice to have George Moss kick off one more time. You want to share some words? No. Right. Okay, so if you guys don't know, I'm gonna be opening up for Evangeline Dunn, and I'm gonna be sharing a really big announcement, and I'll be making this announcement many times. So if you guys are staying, I encourage you to stay.
Check.
Okay. Hey, Tom, if you can come on up here. So this next speaker, which is kicking off the event, I'm not even going to introduce this speaker. I'm going to actually let somebody else do this. But you guys are going to hear me talk about this all weekend long. Last year, we supported a ministry in Israel that fed Holocaust victims. This year, what we're going to be raising funds for, as part of our name, Take on the World, is going to be the specific topic and the specific ministry supporting our next speaker. So you're going to hear me talk about this. We're going to be showing some things all weekend long. So I'm going to share that with you guys all later, especially tonight on the main stage as this fills in a little bit more. But without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Tom Dunn. You guys know Tom? Tom has been with us for 3 years, and this is a very special moment for Tom. So I'm going to hand over the mic, and he's going to do the introduction because I couldn't do it. Only he can do this.
Hey, I didn't know you were going to do this. I didn't know you were going to do this, Chris. You're going to mess me up right now. Okay. So I named my daughter Evangeline. I got to pick out the name. I had the better name. And I was actually listening to a song a long, long time ago on some kind of a mix CD, and I was like, I'm getting ready to have a baby girl born, and this would be a good name for her, right? Evangeline. And as she grew up, she realized, what her name meant. It's a feminine version of evangelist. And I watched her go to school, and I watched her do exactly that. And she said, Dad, I'm actually doing what my name says. I'm evangelizing. And it was really cool to get her to, to see that. I'm blown away by how God has used her and what she's done, where she's at now. And I just want to share real quick, her first ministry was actually handing out these books, it's kind of like a purity book. And she found this book, Every Young Woman's Battle. And I actually found it at a Goodwill somewhere and gave it to her, and she let it sit on the shelf. One day she read it. And she's like, Dad, I want all my friends to read this book. I said, well, okay, we'll get them a copy. And she began passing them out. And then people began sending her money to buy books to pass out to as many people as possible. So she went from there to where she's at now. I am so very proud of her. I know she's really just at the beginning of what she's going to do. She has a passion for what she does. And I'm just blown away. I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I get to know this girl. Evangeline, come on up.
All right, check. My name is Evangeline. I am 19 years old. I am the daughter of Tom Dunn, which you'll hear him speak later on today. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I work full-time for a pro-life ministry called Created Equal. And I'm going to tell you guys all about Created Equal, what it's like working day in and day out in a full-time pro-life ministry. But first, I want to tell you guys a little about myself. So I am originally from Mansfield, Ohio. I enjoy playing tennis, playing guitar. I also enjoy baking and spending time with my friends. Most of these things are pretty common things that teenage girls like to do, right? Right? But something a little bit different about me is that I also enjoy doing pro-life activism. So here's some pictures of me doing some of my favorite things, right on the front lines, talking to liberals. So here we are at the top at the Stop the Bans rally in Columbus, Ohio. At the bottom is, well, not liberals, but the March for Life. I'm speaking to the crowd of marchers. And then on the right here is me at the Women's March. Obviously, in that picture, you can see some pretty grotesque words. But what I'm doing is holding an image of an aborted baby and confronting, this culture of death. And we need to, know what the culture of death is and how do we fight it. So what is abortion? Abortion is the termination of a pregnancy followed by the death of an embryo or fetus. Doe versus Bolton and Roe versus Wade were the landmark cases in which abortion was legalized. And it gets a little sneaky here on how they legalized it because they say in the health of the mother, the definition of health is not clear. it could be even defined as emotional, psychological, physical, age, familia. So a woman could say, I really don't feel like having this baby, and that would be a permissible reason to have an abortion, which is really, truly sad. So over 60 million lives have been lost since 1973. So if we think about locally, in Columbus, Ohio, there's around 90 every single week and 12 each day. So I want to give you guys a little bit more visual for this. If we think about the Ohio State Horseshoe, it holds tons of people, thousands of people, usually fans. But if we think about that horseshoe being filled with preborn children, just that one, and every single one of those children were dismembered, it wouldn't even come close to the reality of the body count for abortion. We're looking at 9 times that amount. Every single one of those seats filled. So I am going to play a quick video for you guys to help you guys get an idea of what abortion is. I know we hear it kills a baby, but Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, to understand injustice, we must see it. I also like to quote Ben Shapiro, a conservative podcast talker. He says that, sorry, let me just play it first. I remember the quote. Ben Shapiro said, if it's that ugly that no one wants to see it, we should probably be doing something about that. That is completely heartbreaking. What you just saw in that video was innocent preborn children being dismembered, decapitated, and disemboweled. So as Christians, the next question we must ask is, how do we fight this? First, we need to give a defense to the most helpless and unprotected humans of today, the preborn. We defend their inherent dignity and value by proving their humanity and personhood. And I know as Christians, it's going to be easy for us to cite, the 6th commandment, thou shalt not murder. But guys, these people are not serving Christ, obviously, right? They're killing babies. So we need to use science and reason with our Christian faith to change their mind and bring them to the conclusion that abortion is always morally wrong. So we need to frame the debate. We need to start with the pro-life syllogism. I'm going to read it to you guys. It is always wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Abortion is always the intentional killing of an innocent human being. So therefore, abortion is morally wrong. The very first line, most people would agree with, right? It's wrong to kill innocent human beings. The second line is where they're not going to like it. They're going to say that the preborn are not human beings. But what we need to do is provide science and reason to prove that they are human beings, and so that way we can bring to the conclusion that abortion is always morally wrong. So what are the preborn? Anyone want to tell me? Seems like a hard question. What are the preborn? Yeah. They're human beings, They're just not born yet. But that's where they say that they're not people. But we have all the scientific evidence ever. Guys, this is the most easiest thing. We learned this in 8th grade health class, but it's still the most biggest debated thing of our culture. So I like to quote Dr. Keith L. Moore, who wrote in the Developing Human, a college textbook on embryology. He says, human life begins at fertilization. the process during which a male sperm unites with a female gamete or octote to form a single cell called a zygote. This highly specialized totipotent cell marked the beginning of each of us as a unique individual. A zygote is the beginning of a new human life. Now, we hear these terms like zygote, embryo, fetus, and people like to say those terms and try to dehumanize the preborn. But really what they're saying scientifically is it's like me saying, oh, you guys aren't people, you're just teenagers. You're still human, right? It's not a human, it's a zygote. Scientifically, they just admitted that it is human. And also, Ward Kisher, who has a PhD in human embryology, says, every human embryologist in the world knows that the life of an individual human begins at fertilization. It is a scientific fact. So when we hear it's not a baby, it's just a clump of cells. Clearly, science says otherwise. So even though we just prove that they are human beings, it doesn't stop them. They're going to come up with more roadblocks and say, well, okay, but in this circumstance, it's okay to have an abortion. And because of this difference, it's okay to intentionally kill them. It's okay to have an abortion, which we know is clearly wrong. But let's go through the arguments. There's going to be 4 main arguments they're going to bring up. It's going to be, my slides aren't working exactly as I like to, but size. They're going to say size determines your value. The baby is so teeny tiny, it's okay to have an abortion. But we know that size does not determine our value. There are a lot of people taller than me, a lot. Does not mean they can kill me, right? It's not determine our value. And when we think about a toddler, right, he does not have a right to kill a preborn child just because he's taller than right? Because our size does not determine our value. They're going to say the level of development. I can think of my little cousins, Mia and Ruby, who are 5 and 6 years old. They have not hit puberty yet. They haven't finished school. It means they're not as smart as most of the women are in this room because we finished high school, Is it okay for us to intentionally kill them because they're not as developed as you and I are? No. It's not okay to kill someone based on their development. When we think about someone who, let's say, who has Down syndrome, right? They're not as developed as you and I are. Is it okay to intentionally kill them because they're less developed than me? No, because our value is not determined on our development. Next thing they're going to say is the environment. Because the baby is inside the mother's womb, the mother has a right to intentionally kill her child. Okay, I know some people live in a sunny beach in California, and it's nice and warm. Does not mean they can kill us who live in Ohio, where mostly the roads are covered with snow, right? Because our value does not come from our location. And really, it's just this far, right? 6 inches. Am I more valuable over here? No, because our location does not determine our value. And the last one, I'm glad this picture shows. I had other pictures on there. But we're going to talk about degree of dependency. So right there, we have me and my dad and Chris and Liz Bailey who put on this conference. So they are doing a great job. But when I was younger, my parents are divorced, and I would have to go back and forth to my mom's house and my dad's house. And when I had to go to my dad's house, I was solely dependent on him taking care of me. Changing me, feeding me, putting me down for naps. Now, because I was solely dependent on my father, does it mean it's okay for him to kill me? No. That's what they're saying. The preborn child is solely dependent on the mother, can't survive any other way, so that means it's okay to kill them? No. I mean, I know there's a lot of adults out there who are still dependent on their parents. I don't think it's okay to kill them. But let's go ahead and reverse the roles. Say my dad is an old man, which I know he is, but say he's even older, and he can't get out of bed, he needs help taking his medication, he needs help eating, and I have to come over each day and help him do these things. Now, because my dad is dependent on me to take care of him, is it okay if I kill him? No, because our value is not determined on our differences as human beings, but the fact that we're human beings made in the image of God. So, let's go ahead next slide. I'm going to quote Abraham Lincoln. This really helps us see, how someone can always have more than you or less than you, but that doesn't mean that you have the right to enslave them or kill them. You say A is white and B is black. It is colored than the lighter having the right to enslave the darker. Take care. By this rule, you are to be slave to the first man you meet with a fairer skin than your own. You do not mean color exactly. You mean the whites are intellectually the superiors of the blacks and therefore have the right to enslave them? Take care again. By this rule, you are to be slave to the first man you meet with an intellect superior to your own. But, say you, it is a question of interest, and if you can make it your interest, you have the right to enslave another. Very well, and if he can make it his interest, he has the right to enslave you. So throughout history, we see many people being, getting their personhood taken away from them, even though they are human beings. So if we think about African Americans, in the eyes of the law, the slave is not a person. Even women. Women are persons in matters of pains and penalties, but are not persons in matter of rights and privileges. And nowadays, the preborn, the word person, as used in the 14th Amendment, does not include the unborn. So all these different groups of people are getting discriminated against for something they can't control, whether it's their race, their gender, or their age. But one thing they all have in common is that they're human beings. And we know that our value doesn't come from our differences, but comes from who we are, which are human beings made in the image of God.
What do you think about abortion? What are your thoughts on abortion?
So before I play that, now that I've told you guys how to, kind of frame the argument on how to talk to someone who is pro-choice, pro-abortion, pro-death, I want to show you guys a quick video of, what it's like talking to these people, because I am out on the streets every single week asking people, hey, what do you think about abortion? So this gives you guys a little bit of taste of what it's like and how we change minds every single day.
What do you think about abortion? What are your thoughts on abortion?
What do you think about abortion?
What do you think about abortion? What are your thoughts on abortion?
I think it's okay.
People can do whatever they want,
I accept it, honestly. But I feel like maybe it could be the best option.
I am pro-choice.
I feel like everyone just has a choice, though.
I think it should be in the choice of, whoever the female is.
Say the woman was raped
Mm-hmm.
and gets pregnant.
I just don't consider them as a real human yet.
What if a girl's like raped and all that?
You have to think about what the parent is going through.
I guess if the parents don't have enough money to take care of the baby.
That's
it
good.
depends on the situation, like if a woman was raped or something.
Because I just feel like a baby, it needs love and things like that I may not be able to give it at this point in my life.
Abortion is wrong because it tears a baby apart inside of its mother's body.
That choice is one that dismembers, decapitates, and disembowels this completely defenseless human being.
The only difference between them and me is that they're younger than me, so therefore they're less developed than I am.
Would adoption be a way better option? The other option is to kill it.
Does a baby ever deserve to be punished for the father's crime?
So if you can't give them love right now, you should be allowed to have them killed?
When the baby was 1 year old, I lost my job and I couldn't care for it. Would it be okay for me to kill the 1 year old that I had?
No, this is already born.
Why is it okay to kill one but not okay to kill the other?
Are all human beings valuable?
Yeah.
Do we ever think it's justified to kill an innocent human being? Would it ever be okay to kill this human being?
Do you think that it would ever be okay to kill a child who is growing and developing inside of the woman's body?
Is it ever okay to intentionally kill an innocent human being?
So would abortion ever be okay?
If abortion does that, would abortion ever be okay?
No. Oh, you're right. It's not.
No.
I know what that sounds like. No.
No, I never really thought about it like that.
You got me right there.
I mean, that is a very good point. That is so sad.
Do you think it's ever okay?
No, not
No.
Would you say that you oppose abortion then?
I oppose it.
What situation would abortion be okay?
Never.
Never?
It'd never be okay.
Well, don't abort it. Give it up for adoption. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you should kill a child.
Honestly, you changed my opinion.
Actually, that makes sense. I never thought about that.
I guess you're right. I mean, yeah, you can't really do that.
For sure, yeah. Good to hear it, yeah. Good thing to be against.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
opening up my mind.
I just changed my mind and everything.
Wow, you're good.
When you put this in perspective and show me pictures, I question whether or not it's okay.
Oh, God, that's sick.
I never knew abortion was perceived like that.
That is so sad.
I agree, that's gruesome. You changed my mind about abortion. Okay.
So Create Equal is a nonprofit organization, and what their mission is to save as many babies as possible, and doing that exactly right there, changing public opinion, because we can't really get anywhere. We need to change before we have to change minds and hearts first. So let's talk about what Create Equal does. Yeah, I said they change the public opinion. We also do training. So I gave you guys a little taste of training, but there's more in-depth trainings on how to talk to people, more harder questions you'll get, especially on college campuses. We also do outreaches on college campuses, high schools. Does anyone know why we go to high schools? Yeah. I hate to break it to you guys, but these teenagers, some of them are having sex. And even some of them are getting abortions. There's 300 teenagers every single day that get abortions. We have to be out there. We go to downtown urban areas. I know we go to the Columbus State House a lot, talking to more adults rather than young college students. We also go to the abortion facility, which has the most urgency, right? Because that's where babies are dying. We go there every Friday. We also do, my pictures aren't working, I'm sorry about that, guys. We have Jumbotron, Truth Truck, TV trailer, and OOP, which is Operation Overpass. All these are methods of reaching as many people as possible with these images and our message, showing people the truth of abortion and in big quantities. So the overpasses, where we're on top of the overpasses on the highways, and then the Jumbotron is a huge screen TV that can be seen across the campus square. We bring it to the March for Life each year. Project Weak Link. This is a project that Create Equal started. It's to hit the medical waste companies that pick up the aborted babies. Renee Chillian, who is an abortion clinic director, she said in an undercover video that they are one incinerator away from being shut down. We saw this as a weak link, and we decided to hit hard. We want to expose these huge companies that are picking up the babies, because if they can't pick up the babies, they can't kill them. And we also do Justice Rides, which is a youth, it's targeted towards youth. It's a week-long trip where we travel down to Florida and do exactly what we just saw in that video, talk to people at college campuses. It's a great way to get involved. If you guys have kids, this is the best way. I remember when I went on my first Justice Ride, my dad can speak to this, it changed my life, and that's why I'm doing this full-time now. But don't think of it like summer camp. It's boot camp. It really is. You get trained and put out onto the campus square. And then we also have our summer internship, which is we have a picture right there. It's the next step for those Justice Riders who want to do more and learn more about the abortion topic. All right. Oh, sorry for the graphic imagery. My slides aren't working correctly. So, who knows who Emmett Till is? Okay, I guess I better tell the story because I'll let people know. Emmett Till is a little black boy during the segregation era, and he went down to Money, Mississippi to visit his uncle. And while he was there, he was at a convenience store, and he was in there with his, I think, cousins, and there was a white lady cashier there, and he did something along the lines of he whistled at her or said, "Hey, baby," or something like that, which is not something you do at that point in time. And later on that week, I believe it was the woman's husband and brother-in-law that kidnapped him from his home, beat him up, and tied a cotton gin fan around his neck and threw him to the bottom of the Tallahatchie River. This is what he looked like when they found Emmett. you couldn't recognize him, but only by a ring on his finger. And they put him in a coffin, and they gave him to his mother, and they said, "Do not open. This is too graphic. You can't look at it. No one should ever see this." But Emmett's mom did something very brave. She decided to have an open casket funeral, and have Jet magazine had the cover, or their cover was Emmett's face. Newspapers came in and took pictures, and people saw the injustice. Yes, it's graphic, it's disgusting, but when people saw this, they saw the injustice. This is the picture that inspired Rosa Parks not to get up from her seat on the Greyhound bus. So why the graphic imagery? Well, Emmett's story right there. Throughout history, graphic imagery has worked to change people's minds about injustice. But also we are biblically commanded to. Ephesians 5:11, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. We need to show these images because of this one right here on the right. If you can't tell, she is pregnant, and her stomach does say pro-choice. The next video I'm about to show you guys is not to discourage you, but to show you what we're up against. These people are no longer my body, my choice, or abortion, safe, legal, and rare. They don't want rare. They want on demand. So, this is not to discourage you, but it is a little funny too.
So why should I listen to you when you want me to force me to keep a baby that I don't want and can't affect my health? You are so ignorant, it's hilarious.
Are you willing to listen to me?
No.
Then how do you know I'm ignorant? But Dr.
That's all I wanted.
You don't actually know that I'm ignorant because you're not willing to listen to the things that I have to say, the things I have studied. Killing your child is never the answer, ma'am.
Not for you, maybe, but for me, it might be.
It should not be legal to kill an innocent human.
Okay, how about if someone said, don't kill puppies, and then they said, hey, you have to take every single... Okay, you want to rape someone now? You just said, how about if I rape you? That's a disgusting thing to say, sir.
That's a great argument. Wow. Where did you learn that?
You can't impose your shit on me. That's what it boils down to.
Let me just tell you something.
The Constitution. And there's no science. No, there's no science. I am not going to sit here and debate science with you. Do you have a degree in science?
We might talk about embryology.
Do you have a degree in science?
I do not. What's your degree? What's your scientific degree in?
I have a bachelor's of science.
You have what type of science?
You have none.
So she can kill her child because she can't afford it. Will you say she can kill her child because she can't afford it? Yes. Okay.
You can do whatever you want.
At least you're honest and say you can kill an innocent child.
You have no understanding of what it's like to be pregnant. You can stay in your own lane.
That's called the genetic fallacy. Look it up online. It is a logical fallacy.
Logic has nothing to do with our own body.
Oh, I know you're not using logic in your statements. I know you don't care about logic.
This is logical.
It's called the genetic fallacy.
The genetic fallacy. We're not saying real words. Stop looking. How do you feel about non-gender conforming people who have pregnancies? How do you feel about trans men who have pregnancies? Would you want them to carry that?
Well, only women have pregnancies.
Yes, people who are trans can have pregnancies. There are people who have.
You're either a male or a female.
You'll never
have mercy.
You'll never be pregnant. You'll never be pregnant.
Neither will you, dude. Hey, you won't be either, man.
You don't know anything about me.
Are you a man?
Are you?
Yeah.
He can fight it for our rights if he's supporting us. If he's supporting against us, it doesn't matter because he doesn't have the choice because he doesn't have the uterus.
So he can say something as long as he agrees with you. That's a very interesting genetic fallacy.
Yeah, because to disagree makes no sense when you are not a woman and you do not know what it's like to be pregnant. You don't know what it's like. Just like a black person.
You assume anything about anyone's gender identity. You sad.
You're a man. You said you were a man.
And I am. But guess what? Some men have vaginas. Maybe you do. But we're not.
You don't, though, do you?
Right?
They're all saying you'll never be pregnant. Aren't they assuming my gender?
We're not going back.
Sir, you're being a hypocrite.
We're not going back.
Yes, we are.
Going back.
Yes, we are.
Hey. I love that video. I like my coworker Sam. They're all chanting, "We're not going back," and he's like, "Yes, we are. We're going back." So I want to give you guys 3 things that you guys can do because we see that there's a problem and we see that we need to do something about it because this just affect a small group of people. Even maybe abortion's never been in your past, or maybe it has. We all know as Christians we need to do something about this. So the first thing that you guys can do is pray. Add this to your prayer list. Bring this to your church and say, hey, let's all gather together and pray for an end to abortion. We all should be doing this, right? Next thing you guys could do is act. Go down to your local abortion facility for just 1 hour. 1 hour. Don't underestimate your voice to a woman in a crisis pregnancy walking to a clinic about to kill her baby. That woman, maybe you don't think she wants to hear this, but we see many babies saved by just saying, hey, we care about you. This is not your only choice. Babies' lives are saved, and even if they aren't, what we're called to do is try and reach them, right? We're supposed to help those who are being led to the slaughter. The next thing you guys could do is give. I am working full-time for a nonprofit organization, so I do raise my own support. If you guys do, donate to a local pregnancy center, that's amazing. I am also looking for monthly donors. I am very close to my fundraising goal. I'm looking for about 30 people to give $10 a month or whatever they can for me to be fully funded. My dad always says, if you're not going to be doing this work, support someone who is. And I'm working every single week to fight against the tragedy of abortion that affects us all. So I really appreciate your guys' time. Now it's time for Q&A as I conclude. Let me just close with this last point. Bring it back. So my boss, Seth Dreyer, who is the director of training, told me something very, very convicting when I first started Create Equal. He said, his dream when he first started this ministry to help save babies was to hold a baby he actually helped save. And he actually recently changed his dream into something else because he was disappointed by that because, we always see the conclusions we like to. But he said, one day when I get to heaven and I'm able to meet all those babies, those 60+ million babies who have lost their lives to abortion, I want to be able to look at them and tell them, I did everything in my power to save you. I think it'd be embarrassing to say, I did nothing to save you. So that's what I'm going to conclude with. We're going to go ahead and go into Q&A. So these are just some hard cases I can go through if you guys don't have questions, because sometimes people don't have questions. But does anyone have a question? Yeah. What do you personally see on the front lines? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously there is a huge correlation because we know when there's child sacrifice, that empowers the demonic. So one thing that we make sure to do every time before we go to the facility is to pray and rebuke the devil. You guys, I know when my dad first went to, with me at least, in front of the abortion facility in Columbus, he felt it right when he got out of the car, the presence. So definitely we have prayer beforehand, and the clinic escorts, which I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's the people who are pro-choice, pro-abortion, and are escorting the woman in. We have a few who are, they announce that they are Satan worshipers, and they often have rituals. They do things on the property, but so it's always good to be in prayer. But of course, my dad can comment on this too. His turn. Okay, cool. Okay, anything else? Mm-hmm.
When do you think it's too early to talk about this with kids? When do you think kids are being exposed to this? I think a lot of times parents, they want to hold back information, right? So what, from your perspective, and I know you don't have children of your own yet,
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think it's good. I don't have a specific age. I don't think really anyone does, because every child's different and their maturity is going to be different. I really didn't know what it was until I was a freshman in high school, just because no one really talked about it, and I learned about it at high school. So if they are going to public school, they're going to hear about it eventually, and you're going to want to tell them. I came home and talked to my dad every day, but not every teenager is going to do that. They're going to probably just go along with the crowd, but I think it's good to have an open conversation about it with your kids, and maybe I think it's the graphic imagery. I was, when I first heard about abortion, I was like, no way, it's completely wrong. I never needed convinced that abortion was wrong. But I didn't do anything about it until I saw these images. So definitely take it with caution if your child more, sensitive to graphic imagery, but I do think it's important for us to see it and to be activated from it. Yeah, so we were at Your Choice abortion facility in Columbus, Ohio, and we had this woman come up, and she didn't talk to us when she was in the clinic, or walking in the clinic and walking out, but when she drove up through the driveway, she actually stopped, and you would tell that she did not want to do this. You could just tell. She has 3 kids already, and you could just tell the look on her face. And we talked to her, me and my coworker Gabriel, and we said, this is not your only option. There are better ways to do this. We can help you find a family who would like to adopt your child. And she said that she didn't want to go through with it, and she wasn't going to come back. And she actually went down to the women's care center, a real clinic, to get care there. So that was a quick, turn away. And all we said was like, hey, it's not your only option. Really think about this. And we did show the graphic imagery, and that she was just blown away by that. So just a few little words like that can change a mind and save a life. So I don't think, do we have any more question? Oh, a couple more. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so critical focus mostly on just reaching the woman and just getting them to the facility where they're actually going to get help. We're not too hands-on with the adoption process, but we tell them, hey, we can take you to the place where they're going to do that. I know of one women's care center in Columbus, Ohio, which is right across the street from a Planned Parenthood. They provide free pregnancy tests, free ultrasounds, and free confidential counseling, and provide baby clothes, formula, all those things, I think up until 2 years old, after the baby's born. They also have adoption referrals. And my coworker Gabriel, he's very connected with people. He has, I think, 10 contacts in his phone that are parents who want to do an adoption, who can't conceive, and they would love to adopt that baby instead of having them be killed. So we're not too, Create Equal's mission is to change the public opinion and save as many babies as possible. But we direct them to the places where they can get really hands-on, one-on-one conversations with these women to help them in the best case scenario. Yeah. Question?
It's kind of rhetorical, but one thing that was brought up to me when I was very interested in this subject and doing the kind of things that you're doing is the question that when abortion becomes illegal again, do you want to be asked the question by your children, where were you when they were killing babies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people think during the slavery, they want to say that they would be activists for those people, or even the Holocaust, say, oh, I would have stood up and and did something for those people. But they're not even doing that now for these innocent people, because they didn't, like we said before, African Americans weren't considered people. They weren't. Neither were women. So if they think they would do something then, and they're not doing anything now, that it doesn't work like that. That's a great Yeah, it's a great addition. I do want to go over these really quickly. Saying a tool that we can use is comparing the born to the preborn. And often people will say, oh, the woman's in poverty, or she's in this hard situation, and so therefore it's okay for her to have an abortion. The question we want to ask is, okay, would you ever do that to a born person? So if I was married and I had a 2-year-old son, and my husband left me, and I could no longer financially support my 2-year-old son, can I kill him? No, of course not. They'd be like, no, that's completely different. It's not really. Why is it okay to kill my 2-year-old son, but it's okay for me to kill my preborn son, right? It doesn't work like that. They're going to say because their mother is or the child's going to be abused in foster care. Have you guys heard that one? We can't put them in foster care because there's a molestation and the child's going to get abused. Okay, well, abortion is a form of child abuse. It's murder, right? And they're saying that it's better off to kill this baby than to give it a chance at life. If we think about some of our greatest heroes, have they had easy lives? No, they went through hard things, such as abuse, but they've done amazing things. So we can say, okay, we have people in the foster care today, right? Is it okay to go kill all those children in foster care because some of them are getting abused? No, right? Because we wouldn't do that to a born person, so we should apply it the same to a preborn child, because the only difference between us and the preborn child is age. Age does not determine our value. They're going to say that the mother is too young. She's only 17 years old, and she got pregnant, and she shouldn't have to be forced to have this child, which I agree. If it was through rape, yeah, which we'll talk about rape here in a second. But the age, yeah, it is. It's awful. She shouldn't have to go through that. She should be able to live her life. But if we're going to sympathize with the young girl who's pregnant because she's young, shouldn't we sympathize with the preborn child who's even younger? We shouldn't just say that because she's young, it's okay to kill the other child. We should, because they're both human, they're equally valuable, and we should give them the same treatment. And then also, the last one, which is the biggest one that you're going to hear, is rape. Because she didn't consent to this. The thing is, the baby didn't consent to this either. Right? So if I was conceived in rape, why should I die for the sins of my father, right? Because if we look at this picture of that baby, and this one too, can you tell which one of those babies were conceived in rape? No. Rape is such a touchy subject, so when we're talking to someone, we want to sympathize and say, yeah, rape is always wrong. But we shouldn't kill someone for something they weren't even a part of, right? They're a victim too. So these are all the hard cases, and you're also going to hear life of the mother, where the mother's life is in danger, which is very rare. It's less. Rape is less than 1% of all abortions, and life of the mother is very rare as well. But how we handle the life of the mother situation is, say there's a car crash, and there's one person who was really close to passing away. They're just totally almost gone, and there's another person who just has a concussion, right? Now, when the guys show up to help take care of them, they're going to look for the person who's most likely going to survive, right? And they're going to try to help them and get them better. But that doesn't mean they go over to the person who's about to die and murder them, right? That'd be wrong. So in the situation where the life of the mother is at stake, we're going to look at this scenario and we're going to say, okay, who's most likely going to survive? We're going to put our time and effort into that person. That doesn't mean we don't value the other person's life. It doesn't mean we go ahead and intentionally kill them. Right? Does that make sense? So I think I hit all the other points. Is there any other questions that you guys have of maybe hard questions you've heard before, thoughts people bring up?
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the life of the mother, and that's something I get a lot too. And I always come to the position that, abortion doesn't apply. That's actually a procedure. Like you said, and I said it all hinges on the doctor's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some of those situations, the baby is too big to do an abortion, because if it's closer to the birth, they can't do a D&E, dilation evacuation procedure. Baby's too big. Also proves that it's a baby, it's not just a clump of cells, right? But what they're going to do is induce labor or emergency C-section and try to help the baby outside of the womb. Hopefully our technology gets better so we can help even younger children. So these are the main arguments we're going to hear. So now we know, what abortion is, how to argue against it. We know that it's always wrong to intentionally kill innocent human beings. Abortion does that, so therefore abortion's more wrong. And now you guys have the tools on how to do that. And now you have one of those 3 things that you guys can do. Okay? Any more questions? 3 more. Okay, Dad.
Hey, maybe somebody's wondering if you're available to speak at other places or events or anything like that.
I'm always available, yes.
What do you think about abortion? What are your thoughts on abortion? What do you think about abortion?
So why should I listen?
Sorry. I'm always available. You can contact me. I actually have giving packets out there that have information in them. Our literature that we pass out to people, something that you could give out to people, maybe someone who's considering abortion, you can show them the image of their baby before and then after abortion. But yeah, you can always contact me. I have my business card in there too.
How do you keep your emotions in check?
It's honestly the most emotional time really is at the abortion facility when you see women walking in pregnant and walking out completely lifeless, even in themselves, because we know that abortion hurts women years after the procedure. But like the video we saw earlier, those crazy, crazy women and men, I honestly kind of like doing that kind of stuff. I find it kind of fun. They're so illogical, as you saw. They're going to say awful, mean, hateful things to you. Maybe when I first started, it affected me, but I know, Scripture tells us that we are going to be hated for doing this stuff. And it kind of tells us that we're doing something right. People are getting mad and screaming at you. But there's times where I am having a hard time, which it's going to happen regardless, no matter what kind of ministry you're in, because the enemy wants to attack you because you're doing the Lord's work. And I know not everyone's going to be able to do this, but I call my dad, and I pray with him whenever I'm going through that. But reaching out to people, pray, or keep constant prayer, and keep fighting. Yeah, so the easiest way that you can do this, if you're mobile, you go online, createequal.org/team, and you just click on my picture, and then you can support me in any way you can. That'd be a huge blessing to me. I know there's people in this room who have already supported me. Thank you guys so much. It's a huge blessing, and thank you guys for also being a part of the resistance, because you guys are also helping fight abortion too. And then also, I have little pieces of paper out there you can fill out if you're more of an old-fashioned check person.
How are you received in the high schools? Are you able to go in easily, or is each high school a different case, or how do they treat your organization?
Yeah, high schools are probably the place that we have the most difficulty. We are only on the sidewalk. We cannot go anywhere near outside. It's funny because sometimes we travel to other places and we go to a high school we've never been to, and you just see these teachers and the principal just run around like, what is going on? Like, what are they doing? It's so funny, but it's where we have a lot of trouble because they call the police on us, and then they realize, it's part of our First Amendment right to be here. People really think we don't have that right anymore, and they're trying to take it away, but high schools are a really great place. We've had a couple babies saved from high schools, which is really cool. And we've had changed minds, and I'm sure lives saved of future pregnancies as well, because they saw those images.
I was thinking if somebody had like a Bible club on their, which are rare and rare, obviously, but if somebody had like an FCA group or a Bible something, would they be able to invite you?
Yeah, we would definitely go anywhere that they would invite us. It's not too common anymore of the schools that we go to. We do have one Christian school that we do a training with, which is great. But a lot of these high schools have, Planned Parenthood in their health class, teaching them sex education. teaching them that abortion is a woman's right, that it's not a human being, it's a part of the woman's body, which we know is not true. So when that opportunity does open up, we take it because we want to reach as many people as possible.
Can you talk a little bit about the hostility of the other side? I mean, a lot of your coworkers have been attacked.
Yeah, recently, which I highly recommend you go to our YouTube page. There's a bunch of videos getting posted all the time, but one of my coworkers, Austin, we were on North Carolina University Chapel Hill, a woman came up to him and started punching and kicking him, which is kind of the biggest kind of attack we've ever had. And we went on Fox and Friends and everything. It really shows that I don't even know how to explain, because they're supposed to be tolerant and anti-violence, but yet they're the ones causing the violence, the hostility, screaming, yelling at us, hateful things, when we're there just showing the images and trying to have a peaceful conversation. You hear lots of cruel things, and like I said, you can't really take that to heart, but the first thing we have to do is pray for their hearts to be softened, but my favorite place to go is the Women's March. It's so fun seeing all these crazy women just screaming at me saying I'm a traitor. It's fun. All right, any more questions? I'm sorry, can you repeat that last part again? Oh, yeah. Which we use that when we're talking to people is, when a pregnant woman's gets in a car crash and dies, it's counted as double homicide. But lawyers, we have lawyers involved when it comes to more, things that really violate our rights. We have GoPro cameras strapped on our chest to capture all the footage. That's how we have all those videos of the crazy things people say to us, mind changes, and violence. So when we have those videos, it's really hard to lose, really, because it shows how insane they are. So you can go on our website and see all of our history. We have been to court before with a medical waste company who promised that they were not picking up the babies, but they actually were, because we have footage of it. So yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, they think that their so-called rights are getting taken away, which, what we want it to be illegal. They're threatened because they see that there's a new generation coming up, and they see that there's people who disagree with them. That's a good question. Why are they protesting for something that they already have? I wish they wouldn't. They're kind of annoying.